Hello, I'm Christian Carrillo Abarca, and this is a presentation on the 5 core concepts I took away from Principles of Management, which is Management 3183. The 4 functions of management are planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. Part 1, Summary of Concepts, Planning, Goals, Organizing, Leading, Control. Part 2 will be application to the past and present. I'll give personal examples. For Part 3, I will cover my intended future use of what I have learned. Future use. And finally, after Part 3, there will be my references. The 5 concepts I will be covering are planning and environmental analysis, controlling and decision making, vision and SMART goals, leading with power and motivation, organizing and empowering resources. Concept 1 is planning and environmental analysis. Planning is the first step in managing because it sets the focus for all the other functions. Environmental analysis includes internal factors such as culture, resources, capabilities, and external factors, which are competitors, economy, technology, and legal matters. Skipping analysis can lead to accidental success without understanding why, which poses future risk. You want to be able to replicate it. And this doesn't just apply to business. In one of my personal examples, I'll be covering the environment would be where I study. So it cannot be too cluttered, it cannot be too noisy, it cannot be too cold, there can't be dust in the air. I'm pretty sensitive guy. So the lighting, I'm photosensitive. Noise bothers me. Light can make me sleepy or affect my mood. So I would consider all these because you have to know yourself or the subject of whatever you are planning for. External analysis. This analysis will guide the creation of a strategic game plan. You want to establish SMART goals for clear and measurable outcomes. What does SMART stand for? Internal factors would be culture, capabilities and values, resources. These factors are easier to analyze and understand than external factors. Changing internal elements often presents a challenge. Strategic planning deep dive. Internal analysis focuses on elements within the organization. This analysis guides the creation of a strategic plan. You want to establish SMART goals for clear and measurable outcomes. So it has to be trackable, time specific. Concept 2, Vision and SMART Goals. Vision statements should be vivid and specific enough to inspire emotion and focus. SMART goals, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. Make objectives actionable and trackable, increasing motivation and clarity. SMART is an acronym that stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound.
This framework provides criteria for setting clear, actionable, and trackable objectives, ensuring they are more than just aspirational goals. Organizing and empowering resources. Organizing allocates human, financial, and informational resources to the mission. Comparative advantage should guide role assignments. Empowerment, giving decision-making authority, differs from delegation, assigning tasks, and builds autonomy and job satisfaction. Structuring the plan, organizing resources, and leveraging comparative advantage brings depth and relevance. Once the plan is drafted, the organizing function commits the resources necessary to achieve that game plan, essentially bringing the plan to life. This chapter of the management story is characterized by a high degree of depth in resource allocation, prioritizing immediate needs first, much like a trauma surgeon treats a collapsed lung before a broken ankle. Resources include not just financial or physical assets, but also human, informational, and authority resources. The most relevant structural task within organizing is providing structure based on comparative advantage. Comparative advantage is the value an employee brings to their job relative to whatever else they could be doing. Managers must understand team members' strengths to maximize their placement and effectiveness, ensuring that organizational structure, whether functional, divisional, or matrix, supports the game plan. For instance, someone who is the best salesperson, but is the only person who knows computer code, might best serve the organization in programming, despite their excellent sales skills. There's still a lot left to cover. I don't want to spend too much time on this. I don't want to beat the drum until it breaks, but in case this is used for study purposes, I'll leave this in here. Just go ahead and click through. There's no audio for this slide and the following slide. That's slide 17 and 18. This clarifies the intention as far as allowing autonomy on execution, and it touches on the matrix structures where decision making is shared. This would have been useful on some of the questions we had in our second midterm. Sorry, I know this is a lot, but I think this is a good place to recap before we go into leading with power and motivation. We just finished concept 3, organizing and empowering resources. So the 4 core functions we learned in Principles of Management are: planning sets the foundation for organizational success. Organizing aligns resources to achieve strategic objectives. Leading inspires and mobilizes people effectively, and I'm sure you already read it. If you didn't read ahead, that's awesome. Controlling ensures activities align with planned goals. Concept 4, leading with power and motivation. Managers influence performance through 5 sources: coercive, legitimate, expertise, reward, and charisma. Charisma is the most powerful because it appeals to emotions. Leaders must also tailor motivation strategies to individual preferences, such as words of affirmation, time, gifts, or service. Time off could be a reward. Leading with intent, power, credibility, and tailored motivation, accuracy, and depth. This is the climax of management, where leaders mobilize and motivate teams toward shared goals. This requires understanding influence through the five sources of power: coercion, charisma, expertise, reward, and legitimate. I struggled with this in class because what seemed legitimate to me was expertise and leading by example. However, this is one of those where what you read on the surface, the first thing that comes to mind, what seems the most logical, might not be the way that the person laid this out, came up with a way to file it away in your mind, which is the way we work. So let's do this. Reward power is the ability to control valued resources. Can be especially effective when applied with accuracy and depth. And if you all took the test and did good, I'm sure you also know then already that legitimate power is not necessarily the right power. It's not always the person who should have it. So it kind of contradicts the definition of legitimate, in my opinion. King 2017. This source recommends tailoring recognition through 4 workplace love languages: words of affirmation, quality time, tangible gifts, and acts of service, such as leading by example, in my opinion. Effective leaders also establish credibility by consistently modeling the behaviors they expect, building the political capital needed to guide teams into new challenges. This is actually very, very important. It's one of those that you can learn it the hard way, or you can really think about it now and save yourself the heartache, drama when you enter the workforce. And for those of you already in the workforce, I'm sure if you think about it, you can realize what he's talking about here. Equally important is creating a safe environment free of favoritism and politics, so employees can focus on contributing value rather than self-preservation. Wow, I love that. I hope I encounter that in my next. I will work hard to get in a position to implement that and walk the talk. Yeah, walk the walk, not just talk the talk. Concept number 5, controlling and decision making. Control ensures goals are achieved through 4 steps: set standards, measure, compare, adjust. Control can occur before, during, or after implementation. It is effective because you need to balance oversight and not micromanage. So effective control balances oversight without micromanagement and shifts decisions from fast or emotional system 1 to slower, structured, evidence-based system 2 thinking. A quick recap before I go into my personal examples. The 4 functions, again, that we covered were planning, organizing, leading, where you inspire to mobilize people effectively. Use your resources, your human resources as well. Delegate to achieve the most possible. Efficient, proficient, capable, competent. That's what I'm looking for. You want to assign your manpower so that there is no lack of competency where it is needed. And controlling, where you track and make sure that the results are aligned with your goals. Part 2 of the presentation, application to past and present. One example comes from academic life. During a demanding semester, I had to complete a major research paper with multiple components. Initially, I approached the project with vague goals, such as finish the paper on time. This strategy led to procrastination and stress. After learning about S.M.A.R.T goals, I restructured my approach with a specific objective: complete the outline by September 9, with a goal of achieving a B grade or higher, and incorporate feedback from a trusted peer and a writing tool before final submission. The result was a stronger paper, completed with less anxiety. This experience illustrates the benefits of clarity, precision, and logic when applied. It demonstrates how planning is foundational to management as well. A second example comes from my professional experience when I was in my early 20s in the Air Force. Within the Comptroller Group and Air Mobility Command, where I was stationed at MacDill Air Force Base, but this is prevalent in all branches, everywhere, in all bases, in all 50 states. Anyways, within the group, there's Air Mobility Command, there's squadrons, and then within the squadron there's a flight. At the end of the fiscal year, funds were rapidly spent to prevent them from being lost by management. While the intent was to preserve resources, the outcome sometimes involved wasteful or poorly justified purchases. This behavior was linked to the structure of divisional and functional units, which competed for resources rather than coordinating according to management theory. Divisional structures can encourage duplication of resources and inefficiencies when authority is unclear. I'm referencing Lloyd and Aho 2020. So I've experienced these dynamics firsthand, and it demonstrated how poor organization undermines fairness and significance, as decisions were driven by fear of budget cuts rather than by meaningful outcomes. Leadership experiences have also revealed the influence of different power sources. So I've come across charismatic leaders, expert, legitimate, coercive, reward. I've seen supervisors rely heavily on coercion, threatening to reduce shifts or privileges as a means of discipline. And while sometimes it can be effective in the short term, this approach often created resentment and led to high turnover. In contrast, leaders who used reward power thoughtfully by recognizing employees through time off, praise, and flexibility fostered loyalty and motivation. I haven't had many, but in my own supervisory roles, I discovered that even small gestures of recognition, such as verbal affirmation, improved morale. Part 3, Application to the Future. Looking ahead, my goal as a leader is to translate management concepts into practical actions that enhance organizational outcomes while supporting individuals. Several strategies illustrate how I intend to do this. First, I will emphasize credibility and modeling. Second, I will focus on tailored recognition. As King suggests, aligning recognition with employees. Employees love languages such as affirmation, time, or acts of service. By understanding what motivates each person, I can utilize reward power effectively, ensuring that recognition feels genuinely meaningful. For instance, some employees may value public acknowledgement, while others prefer private thanks or flexible scheduling as a reward. This aligns with the fairness and significance standards by honoring individual differences. Third, I will strengthen adaptability in the context of technological change. AI and other digital tools are increasingly integrated into workplaces, and leaders must ensure that these tools support rather than replace human contributions. Koponen 2023 emphasized that AI is evolving into a coworker, requiring managers to adapt. My approach will be to present AI as a partner in evidence-based decision-making while ensuring that human creativity, empathy, and ethics remain central. This reflects breadth and depth, considering both technological and human perspectives. Fourth, I will prioritize psychological safety. Teams cannot perform at their best if they fear favoritism or politics. To prevent this, I will use clarity and fairness by establishing transparent evaluation criteria and creating open communication channels, not simply relying on legitimate power. By focusing on evidence-based feedback, I can foster an environment where employees are motivated by meaningful work rather than by navigating internal politics. Thank you, everyone. We made it. These are my references. This is page 2 of my references. I hope you enjoyed.